On my birthday, my parents gave my gift to my stepsister, saying I didn't deserve anything. 3 years later, they showed up at my house. Hi, I'm Louisa, and this is my story. It's raw, it's real, and it's mine. 3 years ago on my birthday, my parents handed my gift to my stepsister, telling me I didn't deserve anything. I left without a word. 3 years later, they showed up at my doorstep, claiming my stepsister deserved my home more than I did. I smiled and handled it. Let's dive in. I'm Louisa, 22 years old, fresh out of college with a degree in graphic design from a small university in Portland, Oregon. Earning that degree felt like climbing a mountain blindfolded, mostly because I paid for it myself. I live in the house I grew up in, a cozy but cramped place in a quiet suburb of Portland, with my mom and my stepfather, Greg. My mom married Greg 7 years ago when I was 15, and he brought along his daughter, Chloe, who's 26 now and lives with her boyfriend, Ethan, in a nearby apartment. They show up for family dinners like clockwork. From the outside, we're the picture of a blended family smiling photos, shared holidays. But the truth? It's a mess. When Greg and Chloe moved in, my mom turned our lives upside down to make them feel at home. Chloe got my old bedroom, the bigger one with the bay window I loved. Greg's tools and boxes took over the basement where I used to sketch and paint. Every decision, every conversation revolved around making sure Greg and Chloe were comfortable. I understood blending families is tough, but somewhere along the line, I became the odd one out. Chloe's college at Oregon State was fully funded by my parents. When my turn came, it was all tight budgets, and you need to learn responsibility. I clawed my way through with a scholarship, but books, supplies, and living costs? Those were on me. 2 part-time jobs and late-night study sessions got me through. Now, I'm 3 months into a job at a small design studio in downtown Portland. The pay's modest, but it's a foot in the door. I'm saving every penny in a separate account, dreaming of my own place, a studio apartment maybe, with enough space for an easel. I told my parents about my savings, thinking they'd be proud of my discipline. Instead, I got side-eye and snide remarks. Last week, my mom said, "Must be nice to stash away cash while living rent-free." Greg added, "When I was my age, I gave my parents half my paycheck. I pay for groceries and utilities, but apparently that's not enough." Lately, the hints have gotten louder comments about the house feeling crowded, how adults should be out on their own, how I need to spread my wings. I'm trying to save for first and last month's rent, a security deposit, maybe a cheap couch. That takes time on an entry-level salary. Tonight, I got home from the studio, my hands still smudged with ink from a late project. Chloe and Ethan were already there, their voices bubbling from the kitchen with my mom and Greg. I caught snippets, once-in-a-lifetime chance, perfect opportunity. I assumed Ethan had landed a promotion or they were planning a trip. I headed upstairs to change, peeling off my work clothes and washing the day's grit from my face. 30 minutes later, I came down to find everyone at the dining table. My mom had made her Tuesday night lasagna, the air thick with garlic and warmth. Everyone was in high spirits, laughing, passing dishes. I slid into my seat, spooning zucchini onto my plate, when my mom cleared her throat the signal for a big announcement. "Louisa, we've got exciting news," she said, beaming at Chloe. Chloe was practically vibrating, her blonde curls bouncing. "We're going to Hawaii next month. Ethan found this incredible deal 5 days, 4 nights at an all-inclusive resort in Maui. It's going to be amazing." "That's awesome," I said, genuinely happy for them. "You two deserve a break. You've been working hard." Ethan nodded, his grin wide. "It's perfect. All-inclusive, beachfront, the works. Total cost is about $10,000. I nearly dropped my fork. $10,000? That was half a year's salary for me. Wow, I said, choosing my words carefully. That's a lot of money. My mom's smile tightened, her eyes flicking to Greg. Well, that's what we wanted to talk to you about. Chloe leaned forward, her voice eager. The thing is, we don't have the full amount saved yet. But we know you do. You've been socking away money in that account of yours for months. I blinked, my fork frozen midair. I'm sorry, what? We were thinking, my mom continued, her tone overly bright. Since we're family, and families help each other, maybe you could lend Chloe and Ethan the money for their trip. They'll pay you back, of course. The room went silent, save for the clink of Ethan slicing his lasagna. I looked around the table. My mom nodded encouragingly, like this was the most reasonable request in the world. Greg watched me, his jaw set, waiting for me to agree. Chloe's eyes sparkled with hope. No, I said, my voice steady but sharp. I'm not giving you $10,000 for a vacation. That money's for my future, my apartment, my emergency fund. Greg's face darkened, his fork hitting the plate with a clatter. Your future? What about family? What about helping the people who've supported you your whole life? Supported me? My voice rose before I could stop it. Chloe's college was paid for. Mine wasn't. I've been working 2 jobs, paying you rent and groceries, saving every cent. And you want me to hand it over for a vacation? It's not just a vacation, my mom snapped. It's their honeymoon. They've been together 3 years. They deserve something special. Then they should save for it themselves, I shot back, like I'm saving for my own goals. Greg slammed his hand on the table, making the glasses rattle. Ungrateful. That's what you are. We've given you a roof, food, everything, and this is how you repay us. Hoarding money while your sister needs help. My mom didn't speak, just nodded along with Greg, her lips pursed. I pushed my plate away, the lasagna untouched, and stood. Their voices followed me as I climbed the stairs low, angry murmurs I couldn't quite make out. I lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling, my heart hammering. $10,000. They wanted me to hand over $10,000 like it was pocket change, like my months of scrimping, my dreams of independence, meant nothing. The next morning, the house was a tomb. My mom, who usually had coffee brewing and asked about my day, was gone when I came downstairs. No breakfast, no small talk, just silence. For a week, they froze me out. 7 days of my mom acting like I was invisible, Greg shooting me glares, and the sound of their laughter from the living room while I ate alone in the kitchen. It was like I'd vanished from my own home. My birthday was coming up that Friday. I'm not big on birthdays, but I hoped it might break the ice. My mom always made a fuss homemade carrot cake, my favorite pasta, candles, the whole deal. Even in tough times, she never missed it. Thursday night, I tested the waters. So, tomorrow's the big day, I said, catching her in the hallway. She looked at me, blank. What day? My birthday. I'm turning 23. Oh, she said, shrugging, and walked away. Friday morning passed without a word. No happy birthday, no coffee, no hug. I told myself they were planning a surprise, maybe a big dinner. On my way home from work, I stopped at a bakery in downtown Portland and splurged $40 on a chocolate raspberry torte, my treat to myself. When I walked into the house, cake box in hand, I heard voices in the dining room. Chloe and Ethan were there with my parents, all gathered around the table. Perfect, I thought. They're here for my birthday. Hey everyone, I called, setting the cake on the table with a grin. Look what I brought for dessert. The room went quiet, like I'd flipped a switch. 4 pairs of eyes stared at me like I'd sprouted horns. My mom's face was ice. What exactly are we supposed to be celebrating? My smile wavered. It's my birthday? She waved a hand, dismissive. That's not a reason to buy some fancy cake and expect us to drop everything. Chloe and Ethan laughed, not a polite chuckle, but a sharp mocking sound that cut deep. Wait, I said, looking from face to face. You forgot my birthday? Greg leaned back, arms crossed. We remembered just fine. We remembered until you decided money was more important than family. What's that supposed to mean? My voice shook. My mom reached into her purse and pulled out a white envelope. This was your birthday gift. $500 from Greg and me. She fanned out the bills like a poker player revealing a flush. But after your little stunt last week, showing us who you really are, we decided to give it to someone who deserves it. She slid the money across the table to Chloe, who grabbed it with a squeal. Oh my gosh, thank you, Chloe gushed. This gets us so close to the trip fund, only $4,000 to go. She babbled about luau's and snorkeling, but her voice faded into a dull buzz in my ears. The room felt airless, like I was underwater. Since you don't want to act like family, my mom said, her voice cold, we're not treating you like family. No celebration, no dinner, no gifts, nothing. I stood there, clutching the cake box, feeling like a fool who'd wandered into someone else's party. I asked for one thing, Greg said, his voice low and hard. Help your sister, and you couldn't even do that. It wasn't one thing, I managed, my throat tight. It was $10,000. It was family, my mom snapped. But your bank account matters more. I looked at Chloe, counting the cash with a gleeful smile. At Ethan, scrolling on his phone, probably booking more vacation add-ons. At my parents, staring at me like I was a stranger. Nobody noticed when I walked out. I left the cake on the table, my gift to myself, abandoned and went upstairs. I didn't need it anymore. In my room, I sat on my bed, the weight of it all crashing down. When Greg and Chloe moved in, my mom's attention shifted entirely. Chloe's college was paid for while I juggled jobs. Every family decision was about their comfort, while I learned to fade into the background. I thought about my dad, who left when I was 13. My mom called him a deadbeat, said he ran off with another woman. She made me so angry at him that I ignored his calls, threw away his cards. He sent child support, graduation notes, but I believed her story that he was just easing his guilt. Maybe she was right. But sitting there, holding a birthday no one cared about, I realized I'd been alone for years. Even before this, I'd been carrying myself, watching my mom pour everything into her new family while I got scraps. I was tired. Tired of being the outsider, of being told I should be grateful for a roof and crumbs, of watching Chloe get everything while I fought for nothing. That night I packed. Every sketchbook, every pair of jeans, every paintbrush. I called my friend Maya at midnight. Can I crash with you for a bit? Just until I find my own place? Of course, she said. What happened? I'll tell you tomorrow. I just need out. Sunday morning, while my parents slept, I loaded my Honda Civic. Years of college, a lifetime of memories, stuffed into the trunk. I didn't leave a note. I didn't say goodbye. Maya's one-bedroom apartment in southeast Portland was small, but she cleared space on her couch without prying. Over coffee and bagels the next morning, I spilled everything the money demand, the birthday betrayal. My phone buzzed at dinner. A text from my mom. Where are you? I stared at it, then typed, I moved out. Her reply was instant. Okay. No. Come back? No. Are you safe? Just, okay, like I was a tenant who'd finally left. 2 weeks later, I found a studio apartment near the Pearl District, 20 minutes from work. It was tiny, a kitchenette. A bathroom barely bigger than a closet, but it was mine. Rent ate half my paycheck, but I didn't care. I had my own key, my own life. That first year was brutal overtime shifts, instant noodles, thrift store furniture. But I was happy, truly happy, for the first time in years. My family didn't call, didn't text, didn't invite me to holidays. Christmas passed in silence. My next birthday, too. It was like I'd never existed. A few aunts called during the holidays, asking why I wasn't at my mom's for Thanksgiving. Just family stuff, I'd say, brushing it off. How could I explain that my mom chose Chloe's vacation over my birthday? That they'd erased me for not handing over my savings? It sounded insane, even to me. Then, out of nowhere, my dad called. I almost didn't answer the unfamiliar number, but something made me pick up. "Louisa, it's your father." His voice was older, softer. I hadn't heard it in 8 years. "Dad," I said, the word strange on my tongue. "I heard you had a falling out with your mom," he said. "Can we meet? Just to talk?" My instinct was to hang up. My mom had painted him as the villain abandoner, deadbeat, but alone in my tiny apartment, cut off from everyone, I thought, what's there to lose? We met at a coffee shop in the Alberta Arts District. He looked older, gray at the temples, but his eyes were the same warm, familiar. He ordered us both lattes, and we sat, awkward as strangers. "I'm sorry," he said first, "for leaving, for not fighting harder to stay in your life, for believing your mom when she said you didn't want to see me." "She said you abandoned us," I said, my voice tight. "I left the marriage, not you," he said, his voice breaking. "Your mom made it clear contact would complicate things for you. She said you were angry, didn't want me around. I sent cards, hoping you'd reach out, but I threw them away," I admitted. "She said you were just easing your guilt." He nodded, eyes sad. "I figured. But when I heard you'd moved out, that there was a big fight, I thought maybe now." We talked for 3 hours. He told me about his wife, Elena, who sounded kind, about his construction business, his house in Beaverton. He'd followed my graduation online, barred from attending. "I want to be in your life," he said as we left. "If you'll let me." To my surprise, I said yes. Elena was everything he'd described, warm, funny, welcoming. She asked about my designs, remembered Maya's name, made me feel like I belonged. It was strange, having a step-parent who actually cared. My dad had done well a nice house, a steady business. He'd show me blueprints, ask my opinion on layouts, treat my ideas like they mattered. It was a kind of pride I hadn't felt in years. When I turned 26, they threw me a surprise party. Just a small gathering Dad's coworkers, Elena's brother, but it was for me. The cake had my name in blue icing, my favorite color. When Dad handed me an envelope, I expected a card. Instead, there were house keys. "It's small," he said, nervous. "A 2-bedroom in a good neighborhood. Mortgage is paid off. I thought you'd want something permanent, not just renting." I stared at the keys, then at him, then at Elena, who was grinning like she'd pulled off a heist. "You bought me a house? You're my daughter," he said. "You deserve something yours." I cried right there in their living room, happy, overwhelmed tears. The house was perfect. Small, cozy, with a tiny yard and big windows that flooded it with light. I spent weeks painting, buying real furniture, making it mine. A month later, I posted a photo on social media, me in front of my house, keys in hand, captioned, "Grateful for my own place." My phone rang while I was unpacking dishes. My mom's name on the caller ID froze me. We hadn't spoken in 3 years. "Louisa, honey," she said, her voice syrupy, like we were best friends. "I saw your picture. The house is beautiful. I was just wondering how you afforded it." Of course. Not, "I'm proud," Not, how are you? Just money. That's not your business, I said. I'm your mother, she pressed. I'm concerned. On your salary, there's no way you could afford that. I hope you're not into anything shady. Shady? I laughed, bitter. I'm fine. I don't want to talk. Maybe we could meet, she said. I've missed you. I don't want to see you, I said, and hung up, my hands shaking as I went back to unpacking. Weeks later, I was planting lavender in my backyard when I heard voices in my driveway. My mom, Greg, Chloe, and Ethan, striding toward my door like they owned it. I met them on the porch. What are you doing here? They pushed past me into my house, eyeing the hardwood floors, the new sofa, my paintings on the walls. Chloe's gaze was sharp, envious. This is nice, Greg said, touching my quartz countertop. Real nice. Must have cost a fortune. How'd you afford this? My mom demanded. I know your salary. This is impossible. My father gave it to me, I said, calm. My mom's face flushed. That bastard. Abandons his family, then swoops in with money like some savior. He left you, I said. Not me. Big difference. He's a traitor, she spat. Walked out on his responsibilities. You want to talk about traitors? My voice rose. You chose your new family over me, took my birthday money, gave it to Chloe, treated me like garbage. Chloe cut in. That's ancient history. The point is, Ethan and I got married last year. I'm 3 months pregnant. Congratulations, I said flatly. We need a place to live, she went on. Ethan's job isn't great, and we can't afford much. Your house? That sucks, I cut her off. Not my problem. It is your problem, my mom said. You don't deserve this house. Give it to Chloe and the baby. I laughed, incredulous. Are you serious? Why would I give away my house? Because you owe your family, my mom said. You broke us apart with your selfishness. Make it right. You disowned me, I said, because I wouldn't fund Chloe's vacation. You chose money over family. You chose money over us, Greg said. Now choose family. Get out, I said, pulling out my phone. All of you, or I'm calling the police. They left, hurling insults selfish, ungrateful, heartless. I locked the door and called my dad. They want me to give Chloe my house, I told him. They think I owe it to her because she's pregnant. Document everything, he said. If they keep it up, we'll need proof. They didn't stop. For a month, my phone was a war zone. Voicemails from my mom about family duty, texts from Chloe accusing me of ruining her baby's future, even Ethan chiming in, calling me cold. They said I was jealous, greedy, a terrible person. Some messages were threats, vague warnings about consequences if I didn't comply. I saved it all, screenshots, recordings, everything. After a month, I handed it to the lawyer my dad hired. She sent a cease and desist letter, warning of legal action for harassment and attempted property theft. It went out certified mail and email, undeniable proof of receipt. The messages stopped within a week. Silence. Just like that. That was 6 months ago. I'm 27 now, still in my cozy house, still at the design studio, still having Sunday dinners with my dad and Elena. My life is quiet, peaceful, mine. I hear whispers through mutual friends. Chloe had her baby, a girl. My mom tells everyone I abandoned them, obsessed with money. She plays the victim, claims she doesn't know why I cut contact. I don't bother correcting her. The people who matter know the truth. The rest can believe what they want. My dad asks about my projects, remembers Maya's birthday, celebrates my wins. Elena sends me gardening tips and cat memes. They make me feel like I belong. I sometimes wonder what would have happened if I'd given Chloe that $10,000. I'd probably still be in that childhood bedroom, invisible, watching them get everything while I got nothing. Instead, I'm here, in my own home, surrounded by people who value me. I chose myself. It was the best decision I ever made,